Get started with the WNBA, where the league is making headlines like never before in its 27-year history. There have been 3 players this season who've been box office. We know about A'ja Wilson. Okay, let's get that out the way. 2-time MVP of the Las Vegas Aces, the best player in the world right now. She's about to set a single-season points per game scoring record, averaging 27.5 points, y'all. Surpassing Diana Taurasi's 25.3 points per game, set back in 2006. That's one person. The others, you know the names. Angel Reese, the Chicago Sky forward, just set the league record for the most rebounds in a season, surpassing the mark set by Sylvia Fowles in 2018. Reese broke the record in just 32 games, so give her love and support. And last but not least is, of course, Caitlyn Clark, who just led the Indiana Fever to an above 500 record for the first time in 5 years. By the way, she's the second leading scorer at 23.4 points per game over the last 12 games. The Indiana Fever owned the WNBA record for most consecutive games under 500, by the way, with 189 until recently, of course, the other day. Now the team is setting WNBA attendance records with over 500,000 fans over their first 33 games this season. Some have compared Caitlyn Clark to Tiger Woods and how she's revolutionized fan engagement in women's basketball. Overall attendance, in case you missed it, is up by 20%, breaking TV viewership ratings and merchandise sales. Either way you slice it, it's clear that we're witnessing a golden era in the sport. Caitlyn Clark, what'd I tell y'all? Now, I understand there's a whole bunch of people that's balling. How about Cussie Mitchell, a teammate, who is just flat out balling? You see what the Ace is doing, right? See, Kelsey, you just see this. Plum and the rest of the crew in Las Vegas can't ignore them. I'm looking at the New York Liberty. I'm looking at the Minnesota Lynx. I'm looking at the Connecticut Sun. I'm looking at Seattle. I'm looking at all of these teams. But they ain't the story. Look, we appreciate what they bring to the table, and we appreciate their greatness, and we appreciate what they're giving the fans. But we just have to understand that when a transformational figure enters the fray, you got to pause and then isolate and compartmentalize and give them the love that they're due. And in this case, it belongs to Caitlyn Clark. Rookie of the Year race is over. She ended that Friday night. Not that she wasn't in the league to begin with, but she ended that Friday night when she dropped 31 on the Chicago Sky when they were blowing them out. Okay? She ended that Friday night. Angel Reese and her Chicago Sky, who, by the way, in 11-19 and about 8 games below 500, even though they're still tied for the 7th seed in the playoffs or what have you. We'll see what happens with that. But Angel Reese is no longer a Rookie of the Year potential winner. That's over. It's going to Caitlyn Clark. Let's get that out the way. Did you know that Caitlyn Clark is also in the conversation for league MVP? Did you know?
And I'm just going to stop it right there because a lot of people want to keep denying the fact that Caitlyn Clark can't be in those talks for the MVP race. I'm not saying that A'ja Wilson doesn't have a shot. A'ja Wilson right now, A'ja Wilson has the MVP. What she's doing right now is just undeniable. And you guys, let's like we say, don't be blind to the Angel Reese versus Caitlyn Clark thing. Don't be blind to the A'ja Wilson and Caitlyn Clark situation. So Caitlyn Clark is right there. I'm telling you right now, like, it's not a far off race. Trust me, a lot of people are going to say MVP goes to Caitlyn Clark. She still has a little bit more to do. But I would say, granted, where she's gotten her team specifically, where they're going, how they're playing basketball, how she's playing, how she's performing, she is right there. I can tell you that right now. And you just can't deny it. I don't want to hear about the Angel Reese no more. Like, she's not even the second Rookie of the Year candidate up. She's close. Granted, what she's done on the boards and everything, that's a lot of accomplishments. That's not easy to do. But Caitlyn Clark is levels above Angel Reese and a lot of the rookies in the WNBA, and a lot of just the pros and veterans already in the WNBA. Caitlyn looks like she's a top 10 player in the league, top 10 to 15 player in the league already as a rookie. I can tell you that right now. It's for sure she's probably the best point guard in the league. For sure. So Stephen A. making this statement right here, this is very true. This is very true. And there's a lot of people who are out there who still want to deny it and make it about a race situation. And I've seen it in person now. I've seen it all over the media. I've seen it on pages that I currently am behind that people have no idea about. I see the comment. I see everything. This is 100% about race. whether you want to call it out or not. And I'm really not the one. But now, over the past couple weeks, and I'm really, this is the hate. This is a envy. This is jealousy, all in front of our eyes right now. To somebody who literally has done nothing but bust y'all ass on the court and keep her mouth. Yeah, Caitlyn talks a little bit of this and that, but she's never really, oh, it's about this or that. And I think the fans have justified that. So I just, Stephen A's right, man. That's the golden ticket. It's undeniable. And, you guys got to accept it. She ain't going nowhere.
I tried to tell y'all. You understand what I'm saying? We got the babyface assassin in men's basketball with Steph Curry. They might say that about her before all is said and done because she pulls up from the parking lot as well. Okay, this is what Caitlyn Clark brings to the table. Here's what I want y'all to know about some of the stats involving her. Average attendance in the 33 games Caitlyn Clark and the Indiana Fever have played this season is at 15,746. That leads the WNBA, okay? Average attendance of WNBA games not involving Caitlyn Clark is 8,490. So games that Caitlyn Clark plays are averaging 85% more than non-Caitlyn Clark games. Just throwing that out there. You need to know. You need to understand these are the kind of things that comes with it, okay? So we got to get that out the way, okay? Then you got the Fever leading the WNBA in home attendance, 16,978, road attendance, 14,838. Indiana's outdrawing every other team by 35% at home and 36% on the road, okay? We know what she did at the WNBA All-Star game. They averaged like 3.4 million viewers on ABC. That All-Star week. I mean, come on now. This is Caitlyn Clark. This is the Caitlyn Clark effect. And so it's time for everybody to stand down. It's time for everybody to admit, Stephen A., you were right. You were right, Stephen A. Caitlyn Clark should have been on Team USA. Should have been on Team USA. And we also write about the fact that there's been some haterade being thrown in her direction. Okay? Because there's no excuse to have resentment towards her. And see, we don't want to address the big elephant in the room, but we ain't going to run from it today because Sheryl Swoopes made news. Now, she made news last week when she sat up there and was applauding Indiana Fever players, but then forgot to mention Caitlyn Clark. She jumped all in my ass because I sat up there and said, hey, how you going to ignore Caitlyn Clark? You know what she brings to the table. How you just going to ignore her? That's not an accident. Sheryl Swoopes is a champion. A champion. Look at her tweet and what she put up about me. You talk about whomever and whatever you want to on your podcast, correct? So why can't I? Also, did you listen to the entire episode? Nope. I have a personal relationship with these players, and they deserve recognition as well. That ain't the point, Sheryl Swoopes. Yes, I did listen to your entire podcast. You didn't mention Caitlyn Clark. So I was right, number one. Number two, your personal relationship, what that got to do with your coverage? Ain't nobody said don't mention them. Ain't nobody said don't applaud them. Nobody told you to ignore them. What we're saying is if you're going to give the Indiana Fever all the credit in the world, how you going to mention the Indiana Fever without Caitlyn Clark's name even coming up? So then after that, Sheryl Swoopes engages in levels of immaturity. There's no way to slice it. I'm not going to insult this champion, this great basketball mind, this phenomenally accomplished Hall of Famer. I'm not going to insult her. All I'm going to say is it was pretty damn immature to come back at me like that. Called me an effing coward because I called you out for not doing your job. So you on a podcast, that means you don't have to do your job? I mean, the bottom line is this. She engaged in a level of immaturity. Let's just call it what it is. I mean, to just bite at me like that, oh, why? Because what did I say? What did I say? You want to know what I said? Take a look at what I said last week about Sheryl Swoopes. Respectfully, Sheryl Swoopes, you have any idea how that makes you look? You have any idea how that serves to stain any kind of critique of Caitlyn Clark, because that gives fodder to those who believe she's being hated on and ostracized to some degree. Do you realize that, Sheryl Swoopes, you're insane to do that? Let me tell you why you're insane to do that. Because Sheryl Swoopes, you're one of the greatest players ever in the history of basketball. That's why. See, you won a championship in college at Texas Tech. You won 3 Olympic gold medals. You won 4 WNBA championships. You know basketball. You know basketball better than me. You know basketball than any of the pundits. You know basketball better than most of the men that play basketball. There is no way in hell you just accidentally left Caitlyn Clark's name out of that soliloquy that you dropped about the Indiana Fever. Stop it. You know that. Stop it. I mean, listen, the bottom line is this. There's a whole bunch of reasons that I'm quite sure Sheryl Swoopes could come up with. Who can imagine that she's got stuff on her mind? Lord knows what she's got on her mind and what she wants to express. I get all of that. People can speculate till the cows come home about what that is. But one thing that's undeniable is that she seems to get offended with her objectivity being questioned, her professional objectivity. The problem is she's the one that brought her professional objectivity into focus by her own behavior.
Stephen A is definitely on Sheryl Swoopes' head right now. I've seen him get like this, but he feels disrespected. And I completely get it. Sheryl Swoopes, you know you're in the wrong. You know you're in the wrong. You're mentioning Indiana Fever without Caitlyn Clark. You know what you're doing. We heard you when you were commentating the game and you didn't want to mention Caitlyn Clark's name. We heard you. There's a reason you didn't do the Chicago Sky and Indiana Fever game. Or no. No, it was the Indiana Fever versus the Wings game. She was supposed to commentate that game, and then obviously something happened. I believe that they requested for her not to do it or something like that. You know, this is not a good look, Sheryl Swoopes, because that's the golden ticket. And the golden ticket saying they don't want you to commentate the game. Uh-oh. You didn't think about that one, did you? Not a good look. Now you got people like Stephen A. Smith calling you out again. And it's just going to get worse. It's just going to get worse. I mean, you're making it too obvious at this point. Like I said, if you're going to act like this and just come out and say it straight up, stand on your business. You don't rock with Clark and just say that so we can just leave it alone. But you going around it all the time and not trying to mention her, but trying to mention everybody else, it's making it worse. I'm going to keep saying it. So until you change something, everybody's going to continue to look at you and think the same. And it's like, you know basketball, so why are you clearly acting dumb about it? Caitlyn Clark is out there leading that team along with Kelsey Mitchell, but she is leading that offense. A rookie point guard with all the responsibility on the team as a point guard to run the offense, run that team, keep that team glued up, keep that team together, making sure they're running out in transition, running the pace. That girl touches the ball every possession. How are you going to not mention her? You just put up 31 on the Chicago Sky and Angel Reese, the one that you love so much. She just put up 31 points on her with no problem. No, how many points did she put up against Angel? Yeah, 31. So I'm Caitlyn Clark's going to continue to prove to you guys that she's capable of doing this. And I'm telling you right now, Caitlyn Clark hasn't even peaked. That's the scary part. So let's finish off with Stephen A. Let's hear what he has to say. I'll get you guys out of here. But, Sheryl Swoopes is not a good look for you. And the fans are just, and I think it's going to get even worse. And I think that was just the first step on Sunday, you not commentating that Wings game. It could get worse for you, Sheryl Swoopes. It really can.
What possible excuse could you have talking about the Indiana Fever and nary a mention of Caitlyn Clark? How is that possible? How's that possible? You know what Indiana was before she arrived. You know what their attendance was before she arrived. You know what merchandise sales was before she arrived. You know what attendance was before she arrived. You know what the ratings were before she arrived. How could you not mention her? It makes no sense. So I can understand why Sheryl Swoopes would have an attitude with people who would question her professional objectivity.
Yeah, man, 100%. And that's the number one thing I think when it comes to, forget the basketball side of things. You got to appreciate where the game is being taken with Caitlyn Clark in today's time. Like, you got to understand what Caitlyn Clark has done, what her fans have done. You gotta accept it. You gotta acknowledge it. Her fans can literally, wherever Caitlyn goes, her fans are going. So if it's out of the WNBA, you don't want that. Trust me, you really, really don't. Because everything Stephen A is mentioning, everything, all the numbers, all the real analytics, all the things that actually matter in the WNBA, all of that could disappear with Caitlyn Clark like this if you guys don't take this the right way or treat it the right way. I'm just gonna tell it how it is, man. Besides that, I appreciate you guys, man. I'm gonna keep this one nice, short, and simple. Good morning to you guys. It's been a long weekend. I know you guys had a long weekend. Make sure you guys get in the gym this week. Hydrate, rehydrate, whatever the case is. Get some good water. Besides that, welcome to game day. I'm gonna catch you on the next one. We're out.